But the title of this podcast is I Don't Want Your Life Story, and similar to I Don't Want to Hear Meghan Markle's life story.
Yeah, fuck off.
So something that's making me fucking crazy is that we've been getting all these exotic meats and whatnot, and I've been wanting to find recipes on how to cook them. And it's made me crazy because every single fucking online recipe starts with the person's fucking life story and how it pertains to this dish. And I actually wanted to pull up the one that I made for us tonight, which is basically like a ceviche, because this is a prime example of why this makes me crazy. So this is for aguachile.
Aguachile.
So okay, so I just want to know what the ingredients are, right?
Yeah, looks delicious, right?
Right.
Fantastic looking recipe.
And so in order to get to that, we got to read, like, ever since we got back from Mexico, I've been chomping at the bits to share this. One of my favorite things to eat in Mexico, along with ceviche, is aguachile. Ceviche, blah, 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 blah. Okay, like, obviously, if I Googled aguachile, I know what the fuck it is.
Yes.
So that's the beginning.
How would you ever stumble upon a recipe like this just by browsing the internet?
You would not.
Exactly. You seek out this recipe.
Right.
As with most recipes.
Right.
Oh, you know what? I have duck that I need to roast.
Right.
Oh, I'm going to look up a roast duck recipe.
Right.
The French love roast duck.
Yeah, Perry says they write all this so they can cram the advertisements in, but it's exactly it. And but there's a thing about this particular one that I have here that makes it's so designed to do that it makes me fucking crazy, and I'll explain why. Yeah. So here's all of her fucking dumb preamble, like about like all of her dumb shit. And it's like, it's all these like life stories. So like, here's what makes me crazy. So here are the steps, right?
Yeah.
So these are the steps on how to make it, but I have to go through the steps before I can get to the portions of the ingredients.
Good Lord.
And so
the recipe's literally at the bottom.
Right. And so like,
the recipe is 1/3 of the page.
Right. Which is just like, again, if she had just had that and that, it would be so much better. So this has been making me really, really fucking crazy, right?
Yeah.
And like so much so that I'm sure all of you that are here, you saw my tweet about it on Twitter of just like, can we please, for the love of God, not hear your life story? I just want to know the fucking recipe. And then I realized today that it actually got liked by the guy that this article we're going to read is about, whose website got shut down for we'll get into it.
Wow.
But
wow.
So because everything is manufactured now, right? They have to be like, they understand that like there's a community of food bloggers like this because they create a website that just would basically do like what Outline does, where it just gives you the fucking information. Not like I don't want to hear. I don't care about your life. I don't know you. It doesn't matter. And like, dude, if you just gave a great recipe that people reviewed well, and you said, hey, if you want, donate $1, boom, you got it.
Yeah.
Like if I made the recipe a few times and I liked it, I would give you $1, no problem. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, they're sticking in all this preamble. So now, because all these dumb food bloggers were complaining about this site that would simplify the page, they have to make it into a woke issue, of course.
Yeah.
And this one again, like woke shit is just like funny to me now, but it's like, again, the manufacturing of consent and so this is from CNN.
CNN, what it says about us when we want a cook's recipe but not their humanity. Oh, okay. Not everyone wants to cook mung bean popsicles. Judy Long, one of the people behind recipe website The Walks of Life, understands that. So when she shared her recipe online, she opened her blog post by taking the reader back to Shanghai, where she grew up. There, she wrote, popsicle peddlers would ride through the city on bicycles, wooden boxes strapped to the back seats, selling the treat.
Okay, so we don't need to hear that.
We don't.
Just tell us why it's good, even though it sounds gross. Like that's enough. Like that would be about that much on the page. Yeah. Like about like a half a paragraph.
Right. You can talk about the sweetness of the bean or whatever.
Yeah, or like how you can prepare it. I mean, like, you say like black bean pie or like sweet potato pie, people go gross, and you're like, if you've not eaten these things like in the South, primarily like black folks will eat it and it's great, but it's like, if you explain why it's good and what it tastes like, then people will be like, oh, I'll try something new, right?
Mm-hmm. When the neighborhood kids, when the neighborhood kids heard the peddlers' distinguished haulers, they would charge out with pennies in hand, hoping to get the popsicle with the most beans. The post, which also features illustrated step-by-step cooking instructions, reads, everyone knew they were the best part. For Long and many other cooks who make a living as food bloggers, telling the story behind certain dishes is part of the recipe itself. But over the weekend, a proposed website called Recipeasly raised concerns among the community of food bloggers. It said it would provide recipes, sans information beyond an ingredient list and cooking steps.
Yes.
That sounds amazing.
It sounds like a cookbook.
That's a dream. Yeah.
A cookbook. Or do it like a cookbook. You can have 2 pages. Where you can have your whole bullshit about your life that nobody cares about.
Yeah.
And how you found this recipe and growing up in Shanghai and, cutting the heads off of chickens and eating their feet. And then on the next page, you can have what we actually want to see, which is the steps in the recipe, right?
Right. Tom Redman, one of the website's creators, described it as your favorite recipes, except without the ads or life stories. Users would be able to plug in the recipe of choice, and the site would strip it of any extra text, including the recipe author's name. Redman apologized soon after and said he was taking down the website as its creators re-examine our impact on the community.
So he got bullied into doing it.
He did, yeah. He did not immediately respond to CNN's request for comment, but tweeted that if the site returns, it'll be with changes where we have fallen short. While the website is now down, news of its launch amplified a larger issue, many food bloggers said. So often people simply want a recipe without the person behind it.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what they want.
Exactly.
Look, in any other market, you adapt to your target audience.
Or do if you want to tell your fucking life story, do what Emmy Made in Japan does.
Yeah.
A great chef that makes all kinds of weird exotic foods, and she's an interesting personality and shows you step by step on video. Actually put in some fucking effort. I you can still be a writer. You can write a script. You can even just show yourself making it and narrate what you have written. It's like, so then
intersperse your story of it.
Exactly. And frankly, as somebody who has ADD, I would love to have a video with step-by-step directions.
Yeah.
And so then it would just be this much of your page, and you can run ads on that.
Yeah.
And then have the actual thing below it.
Perfect.
Easy.
Perfect. It pulls our identity away from the thing we're creating, which personally is hurtful. Amelia Clark Buckley, who runs the diabetes-focused recipe website Hangry Woman, told CNN.
I hate women so much.
I'm making this thing for you, but you don't want me to be a part of it. You want me to be these invisible hands in the background. Oh boy, this is making me angry. Shut the fuck
I
up.
know.
Food blogger is not a real job.
This is I believe these people are real and they actually had complaints, but it's always women doing this shit. What the fuck is it's just because if you're making a living being a food blogger, your life is so fucking good that you have to find the most minute grievances of all time. And people would only go to this guy's website because you're annoying in the way that you present your whole thing. And it's so laden with ads and bullshit. Nobody wants to do this. And most people, like myself, have to do these things from the phone, which compresses the text even more into a wall.
Yeah.
And there's autoplay videos and all this stupid shit. And so it's...
Right. And also the idea here is that we are stripping away their humanity by skipping past the thing, but they're stripping away their own by interspersing ads in their life story. They're selling their life story.
That's exactly it. Right.
They've already lost their soul.
Yep.
Yeah. So fuck you guys.
Yeah. Fuck your life story.
Fuck your life story. Fuck your chicken strips. Every food blogger has heard some version of the same complaint. Cut to the chase. Many don't want to read a long post before the recipe. They just want the recipe. Then why aren't you fucking adapting to that?
I know. And so you're getting,
thing.
you're this is capitalism. You're getting squeezed out of the market because you're fucking annoying.
Yeah. Right. But that complaint is one based in an overgeneralization of recipe websites, said Lisa Lin, who has run the website Healthy Nibbles and Bits since 2014. It's based on a reality that was more prominent in the early days of food blogging, she said. Back then, it was more of a blog first and recipe second. People were there to follow the person as opposed to the food.
Never. No.
Never. That's never been the case.
Nope. And again, if you were an entertaining personality, because again, there's so much ego that goes into you're a good writer. Because if you did do videos, the chaff would be cut out. If you're not an interesting or entertaining person, which food should be. People who are good chefs are generally pretty interesting, entertaining people. I've found that to be the case, anecdotally, right? And so, because making food and giving it to other people is one of the greatest gifts and joys in life. So generally, if you enjoy cooking, I would venture to guess that you're a pretty happy person, right?
Yeah. Another thing is that there's never been a time where I read a book and I thought, man, I really would love to get to know this author better. I don't really think about that when I'm reading a book. I'm thinking about the story.
Even
I'm not reading a recipe and being like, man, this person seems like a great person. I'd love to hear more of their history.
Right.
I don't connect with the author of the recipe when I'm reading a recipe, and that might be like kind of sociopathic or whatever.
No,
but I don't really want to
because you want to choose to read about somebody's life story. Like, like take Anthony Bourdain, for example, right?
Yes.
He would write books about his life and then recipe books. So completely separate. Yeah. So, and his life was interesting. So, like, I read his book because it was interesting, and a lot of it was parallel to my life. And I was like, great, this is like a very interesting book.
That's exactly the thing. I would buy an autobiography to read about the person who wrote it, but I'm not gonna read a recipe to learn about the person who wrote it.
Right. And again, like, I'm a dude, and so I have no connection to like a mommy blogger. Like, this has nothing to do. Like, when my kids get hungry, I'm like, I don't care. This doesn't connect to me. I don't care about your trip to Mexico where you fucking flayed your husband. Like, I don't fucking care. Yeah. And so, anyway.
Anyway, but if you were making video content, that's when I relate to the person. And I'm like, oh, you're a lovely human being. Yeah. Like with Emmy Made in Japan, who is a sweet angel.
And she makes amazing looking food.
Always.
And you can see it. That's the other thing too. Like, you see her making it. You get the like, she's making something cheesy. She'll do like this move.
She does the cheese pulled across section.
Everything. And you like all you want to the end of the video is like, I'm so glad you enjoyed that food. Like, exactly. So you like root for her,
Exactly.
Okay.
Let's see. Now, Lynn said most recipe posts focus on how to cook that recipe or why the author is using certain ingredients. It's all in an effort to arm the user with as much information as possible. I don't think so. And it's not like every recipe Lynn posts gets this treatment or requires it. In a recipe for crispy teriyaki tofu, for example, Lynn mainly gives instructions on how to press the tofu so it comes out as crispy as possible before jumping to the ingredient list and the instructions. Excuse me. The information she does include, though, is still relevant.
What?
Another incredible Oprah drop.
So I should keep going here.
Clark Buckley, that's not a real name.
No, she's a two last namer. So you kind of know what kind of person she is. Like, she had to have her maiden name's Clark, and then her husband's name is
I think it's like Lisa or something. Yeah. Or no, that's Lisa Lynn. Whatever. Who has written Hangry Woman since 2016, always includes context at the top for what ingredients to use. Writing for people with diabetes, she wants them to understand the deeper context as for whatever swap she makes because it's a benefit for their health.
Okay, so if she hadn't been impacted by the fact that no one cared about her writing, why would she even be why would she be interested in being featured in this article?
Right.
Other than people don't want to hear from fucking Clark Buckley, you dumb bitch. Like, maybe people don't want to hear about, like, maybe you have abused the system too much.
Yeah.
Because why would any of you be volunteering for this article unless you abused your privileges as a mommy food blogger?
Right.
Okay.
Where am I? Someone without diabetes might not need that context, but there are resources to get the recipe as fast as possible if they want that. And it's true. Most recipe websites have a jump to recipe button somewhere near the top so users can skip ahead if they so choose. There's no shame in that. I'm thinking any recipe website that I've looked at, I don't remember there ever being a button.
Never.
Also, like,
and not to mention, because on my computer I can block all their ads.
Yeah.
But it's like also pop-up videos I have to X out of that are like unrelated to the whole thing.
So, and also Clark Buckley saying, like, if there are resources to get the recipe as fast as possible if they want that. You guys literally just struck down one of the major resources to get a recipe without all the fat.
Yes, exactly.
They struck down the website that just has recipes that you can plug in.
Correct.
So that's a lie.
It's absolutely a lie.
The resources are going away because it's now woke to read someone's life story in a recipe.
Correct.
Or something. It's something like woke.
Well, that's what they're trying to do. They brought in the Asian gal so they can be like it's racist, and they had to have
diabetic woman.
They had to have her. Well, yeah, because she's a double threat because she's a woman and she's also a fat fuck that has diabetes. And maybe she's not. Maybe she has type 1. But like, again, if you have diabetes and you don't know how to you have to learn how to eat or make food or whatever. And so it's like, you could pretty much modify most recipes, but just don't eat sugar. I mean,
don't eat sugar.
Whatever. But so let's just see here.
In his tweets, Redmond said the goal of Recipeasly was not to minimize the results of food bloggers' hard work, but he added, clearly how we're marketing Recipeasly doesn't demonstrate that respect at all. We missed the mark big time, and I'm sorry. Ugh. Because most food blogs are run by women, some experts say a website like Recipeasly could signal a devaluing of women's work, as these recipe websites...
That conversation.
Have I played again?
Who is having that conversation?
Women.
Only women.
Only women.
Only women are having that conversation.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Devaluing women's work. The food blogosphere definitely skews towards female authorship and readership, which is also probably why so many people trivialize the characteristics that define a food blog, such as the stories. Says Dr. Tisha Dejmanet, a lecturer of digital and social media at the University of Technology, Sydney, told CNN.
Okay.
Is that a real job?
Oh my God! See, this is where we're getting deep now.
They brought in a doctor.
Well, and then this next paragraph.
Dejmanet, who has done research on the intersections of feminism and food blogs, said recipe developers typically put hours of work into testing recipes, food styling, and photography to create high quality content.
Okay, so this person got a grant to do research to prove the fact that most food blogs are run by women. Money well spent.
Very well spent.
Well spent.
Thank you, University of Sydney.
Yeah, my fucking God.
Recipeasly and any apps or websites like it can hurt revenue streams for these creators. Rather than crediting them for their work, tools like Recipeasly would actually erase the labor of the developers by commoditizing, very much an academia word, commoditizing their recipes to generate a personally profitable business model.
So, like, let me stop. And the fact
which is clearly an exploitative relationship.
Of course.
That's what the end of that quote.
Of course. And which is, like, of course, like what they would say. But the one thing that I will give them credit for is he should put the name of the he should have put the name.
The author should remain.
Yes,
yeah.
of course.
And I think maybe like that was just an oversight.
I think it was too. Yeah,
because it's not intentional to remove the author's name.
Or you know what it probably was he had created like some sort of algorithm that would just grab all this shit and it didn't have like the feature to just automatically add the name in.
Yeah.
Like almost like how Outline works, it just gets rid of all the fat on the article and then so it's probably something like that. I doubt it was on purpose.
Yeah.
You know?
Ugh. The primary way most food bloggers did I already read that? They didn't want any pay for it, and they don't want the developers to get paid either, says Clark Buckley. In his series of tweets, Redmond clarified the website creators do not make any money off of this. There is no revenue, much less profit.
Okay, so this one right here is just so.
This is like attempting to be Galaxy Brain.
It's just
when we buy iPhones, we don't think about the context, said Lynn. That's how some people view food. It's just a mere commodity to just feed hunger, but they don't also think about the person who's making it.
We're making it, bitch. It's your recipe that I'm cooking in my house.
Yes.
I don't care about
It's
you.
our food.
Yes. Like, you just happen to know which ingredients this thing needs. Like, I may forget that it needs fennel or whatever. Like, so you just kind of give me, oh, you're right, I need to get that fucking thing. You are a grocery list, bitch. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Stop it. You're commodifying women.
Oh, my God. Well, I think they deserve to be problematized, commodified,
problematized,
racistified.
Oh my God. This is a much longer article than I remember skimming through.
Okay, here's where
this
it gets
is
even
so embarrassing.
It gets even more. I know, dude, isn't it? Like, this is like definitely like just that Twitter posting women's L's online.
Yeah.
This is such a woman's L.
This is like the excesses of feminism and the excesses of American culture in general.
Absolutely. And like, so, if Kate still listens, I haven't seen her in a while. She might not. We're not you. You're a dude. But like, it's these types of women.
Dude is a mentality. It's not a gender.
And kind of like how we push back against annoying gay people or non-binary or the Q, which to me is QAnon and LGBTQ.
Yeah.
Do what we are doing. Like, stop these women. If you're a woman, just tell them to shut the fuck up. Like, and you're making your whole gender look bad. Like, stop it for the love of God. So, so here we go.
Where
this bit here, because it's like, this is when they're just trying to make it like now it's racist.
Yeah, for Sarah and Caitlin Lung, who created the Walks of Life with their parents Judy and Bill in 2013, the website isn't just about providing recipes. First and foremost, it's a culinary genealogy. Though they do have a jump to recipe button at the top of their pages.
No, they don't.
They told CNN they actually do see most people wanting to read about the dishes they post.
They don't.
I think what they mistake for most people is the select few people on Twitter quote tweeting their recipe links,
Right.
being like, "Oh, I love the backstory of this,"
And be
it's like
grateful.
5 people, and it's like, "Yeah, great, lovely."
Yeah.
but that's not most people reading your recipe.
You should not. I mean, like with just doing a food blog, you should not be allowed to. Like, you really shouldn't be able to make a living on that. I mean, that is like. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Like, I mean, because again, it was interesting, that Burger King tweet that said women belong in the kitchen, and it was about like them giving culinary, things to women where they could, work as chefs. But women don't want to work as chefs. They don't want to do, like, these are primarily like male-run jobs, And so they want to be CEOs, and they want like jobs that are soulless and horrible, but they have status in our dumb society. But like, I respect a chef way more than a CEO.
Yeah.
Like a good chef, so it's I think that like all this energy comes from like a feeling, like a crisis of purpose in these people, and because they know it's a fucking grift. They know it. And like, here's the reality too, is like, I could be a fucking food blogger. Like, I could find a recipe that's pretty good, modify like 4 different things, say it's mine. Because I was looking at Cioppino recipes, they're all about the same.
Yeah.
And then like, you'd be like, oh, I can add pineapple juice to it and it does something. You know what I mean?
My burgers from last night are based on a Trader Joe's slider recipe that I turned into full-size burgers,
Right.
stuff them with different things. Of course, the bacon is still in it.
Yeah.
The cheese and the barbecue sauce, though, my idea.
Yep.
It's so easy to do what they do.
Yes.
You get a good camera, you know how to stage things, you have an eye for design, which is not, it's not like guaranteed that any one person has an eye for design, but like, photos have to be pleasing. You can take video of it, but if you're even like the most basic non-fiction creative writer, like, you can make an entire recipe blog.
Yeah.
It's not super difficult. Put one recipe up a week.
Yeah.
And if that is sustaining these food bloggers' lives, anyone can fucking do it.
I know. And like, again, it's like, they're insecure about this because they know the grift is up.
The grift is up. Yeah, the grift is up.
This is so crazy too.
I think that desire to disregard context and put empathy aside in the interest of whatever personal drive you have.
I want to make food. That's my personal drive.
It's a literal survival drive.
You're right.
To just get dinner on the table, I think it's a lost opportunity to have a more meaningful engagement, said Caitlin Long. Though people love to make fun of grandma stories, Caitlin said, as her mom tests recipes, memories flood back from her childhood, things she may have even forgotten herself. Part of writing that story is for that documentation, for her, for the kids, or for future generations, Sarah Long said. Then write it for your future generations. You're selling your soul to tell your life story in food by placing ads between every paragraph. Your poor grandmother probably has no idea what you're doing with her recipes.
You're commoditizing your grandmother.
You're commoditizing your grandmother, and you're participating in this article to make yourself feel better.
So here we go.
So embarrassing. For people to see that this was once the coveted thing for a little girl in China, it tells why this is a valued recipe and tells why we're taking the time to share it, said Caitlin Long. It's a first-hand perspective of history. It might seem small to people because it's just food, but it's important. And those stories, those histories, are sometimes just as important as something like how much salt to use.
Perry says, learn to code.
Learn to code, bitch. Get off your fucking Squarespace website, food blog, and learn to code.
And this is why.
It's a sign of respect to the culture that you're bothering to explain why things are done a certain way. And if you don't, you're not really giving the due respect to the people who developed the dish, the lineage, Lynn said.
So I would agree with that statement if I was in fucking China. Like, I would want to know. But most, especially Chinese dishes, like most of it is Americanized Chinese food anyway. Because like, I'm not going to eat 1,000-year-old egg like that. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, the stuff that like native Chinese people eat is fucking horrifying. Why do we have the Wuhan Wees? Because they ate a fucking bat. They just couldn't help themselves. They had to eat a disgusting bat in soup. So like, no judgment to the culture, but it's fucking, by American standards, it's fucking gross.
Right.
So,
I'm sure there's food that people in China would be disgusted by that we eat here.
No.
Well, maybe, but still.
Yeah, no, I think they would probably be fine with all of it. But so if I was in China and we were like, let's go to like an authentic, whatever, Cantonese restaurant. Cantonese food's really good. But Cantonese restaurant. And I would, if they spoke English, I would talk to the chef, say like how, blah, blah, blah. I would do all this kind of stuff. But here, it's like, well, number one, the very important context here is we're making your recipe at home.
Yeah.
So like, but if we went to your restaurant and you were the chef, like remember we went to that Ethiopian restaurant, the main chef came out and wanted to ask us if we liked it.
Yes.
And she told us like all about it.
Fantastic.
Like if you owned an establishment like that fucking hard as fuck awesome Ethiopian woman did that makes amazing food, I would love to hear your life story. Because I'm sitting there, I'm enjoying your meal, you made it, and I would love to hear about it.
Yeah.
But I'm making your food at home. I don't care about you, and especially because, like I said, you're looking for recipes because you have items you need to cook, and you already know what you need to make, and so you need to Google it, find the steps. So like, I'm not a follower of your blog. Your blog pops up because I need the recipe. So I don't care about you. I don't care that you're fucking Asian or a woman with diabetes. I don't want to hear it. I don't care. I don't care about your life story.
Yeah, please shut the fuck up. Just let us make food. And now more than ever.
I know. Let us eat food.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait. Can you play Who's Having That Conversation again?
Who is having that conversation? What?
Yeah, and as a man, when I read that article, I kind of feel this.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
Silenced.
And then the little eyebrow raise.
So pleased with herself. She's
so good. She definitely practiced that.
Basket.